Here we go. Today is the very last day of the Iowa bow hunting season. It is January the 10th, and I feel like my best odds or chances of getting a deer is on a private 5-acre property I have permission to hunt. And I'm going to smoke my clothes for this hunt. If I can get my smoker going here. I've just got some wood chips in here and a little bit of paper to get this going. So we need to get this smoker smoking so I can smoke these clothes. Now the only reason why I'm doing this for this particular property, come on smoker, gotta get the wood chips kind of going so we can get some smoke going here. Well, the reason why I'm doing this for this particular property is the landowner, here's some smoke, the landowner has one of those big outside wood burning stoves for heating his house. So it has a really strong odor of smoke all the time. And so I'm going to try to blend into that. Normally I don't even do that on this property, even though that's the case, because I typically play the wind. But today is the last day of the season. It's about 8 degrees out right now. As you can see with my breath, it's pretty, there we go, we got some smoke here. It's very cold out today, and the wind is not blowing the way I need it to. So I'm just going to see if I can blend in with the fire smell. By smoking my clothes. If I was hunting in a situation today that was not near a property that had this smell of smoke, I probably would not smoke my clothes this late in the season. It's cold out. The funny thing about this particular deer coming in right underneath me is that right before he came in, I was actually taking a screenshot of my phone to send to like Andrew Penzi from Vital Point, Jason Farmer from Jace Outdoors, and Corey Cowan from New York Hunter. Those three guys, we share a text thread throughout hunting season. And I was about to text them the temperature, lineup that I was sitting in. And as I was doing that, I looked down and here was a spike going under me. Now, he walked directly underneath me, had no idea I was there. And then he went and hung out nibbling on, some tree branches directly downwind of me. He never seemed to be alerted or bothered at all from my presence or any odor coming from me. Now, while that deer is eating, let me just pan over and show you a couple deer beds here and point out a few things to you. So there are 2 deer beds just over here on the ground. One is just to the right of that blown down log, and the other is to the left of that. Here, let me zoom in or just kind of focus, center it right there. It's in the middle of those weeds there. And so a lot of times the deer like to bed down like this one here, right next to a log. It gives them protection on one side. Then I'll pan over here. There's a few more deer beds right over here. There's actually 3 right here. So there's one like right on the main deer trail right there. And then there's another one right up behind it. And then one off to the right over here, kind of, in those branches right there. And I'll pan out. The reason why they're there is if you can see all that blown down and brushy stuff creates a barrier for them. So they're kind of comforted. There's a little V shape there, a little pocket. Deer like to bed down in those types of things, with just something, form of protection on one side. Later in the hunt, I had a number of deer come out into the cut bean field that was covered with snow. Eventually, something spooked the deer, and they all basically, a bunch of them came into the woods right to me. And the group of four came directly to me on the other side of my tree from where the spike had gone. These deer are coming through at about 6 yards away from the base of the tree. And right now, when they first come in, they're on the upwind side of me, so no chance of them smelling me. However, they did see my tracks in the snow, and that really kind of alerted them. I do try to approach my stand from a location that, the deer aren't going to see where I walked or smell where I walked until after I have a chance to get a shot at them if I want. And in this situation, I could have harvested any one of these deer. They came in broadside 6 yards, but I did not want to deal with a doe. I do have a doe tag, but I'm just, that old saying, go big or go home. I'm basically holding out for a half decent buck, or I'm just not shooting, because the high temperatures, as I mentioned, is 8 for the day. At this point in time, it's probably 6 or 7, and there's a breeze. I mean, with the wind chill, it's probably around 0. It's cold, and I have deer meat from the 9-pointer I shot earlier in the season. I don't need a deer, so I decided, I'm just going to let the doe pass. The doe ended up going past me. They got nervous when they saw my tracks, and then they started to sniff real hard in the air, trying to figure out what was going on, or if I was a threat. And they did get downwind of me. They did not seem terribly bothered at all. I mean, they kind of hung out for a while. They were still a little nervous after seeing my tracks, but there was a couple times where I did get the impression they maybe smelled me a little bit. But they never spooked, they never snorted. They continued to act a little nervous after having seen my tracks. Eventually they worked their way off. Later in the hunt, I saw some more deer out way across the field. Eventually another group of deer came across the field, a group of about 4. They entered the woods about 100 yards away from me. And I got a little footage of them as they came across and entered the woods, and then I just turned the camera off because, my hands were so cold. I just turned the camera off. But they did circle around, and they were approaching my tree stand location, and they got to the downwind side of me, and I think, they were acting a little nervous. I do think they may have gotten a little whiff of me, but they, they never snorted and ran off. They kind of kept doing their thing. And eventually I got down because it got dark out. But I think smoking my clothes did help a little bit, and it did help me blend in with the outdoor wood burner in this scenario. And but there have been other situations late in the season where I've used, I've smoked my clothes and it did not work as well. So this is an urban area. There are houses around. Um, so you just take that into account. Some people ask, about the whole smoking your clothes things. Some people really believe in it super strongly. Others do not. I pick and choose very carefully what situations I want to use it in. And I only used it in this situation because I thought it could help me. And, I think it did a little bit. But in other situations, like where I'm not hunting around houses and there's not like a wood burning furnace real close by where it's often putting off that smell, yeah, I probably wouldn't have done it. Well, anyway, this closes out my Iowa hunting season for deer, but I got a couple of things coming up. I'm going to be doing some ice fishing. In fact, I joined a fishing group on Facebook in my area, and I said, hey, I'm getting into ice fishing, and anyone got any tips, things like that? Because where I grew up in Pennsylvania, it didn't really get, the ice didn't always get, strong enough to do ice fishing, so we never really got into it. But one of the guys reached out to me. He said, yeah, dude, I watch your hunting videos. I'd love to take you out and return the favor because I've learned so much from you for archery and everything else. We're going to meet up this coming Monday. So, folks, stay tuned. I've got some ice fishing videos that I'm going to be producing this year, which I'm excited about. I want to try ice fishing. Also, Brennan, who, you've seen him in a video this year, and he's let me hunt his lease with him. We're going to get out and do some coyote hunting. I'm going to try to film him getting a coyote here coming up. So, hey, coyote hunting and ice fishing. We got some videos coming out, folks. I hope you'll stay tuned. And last but not least, I've got some bow giveaways coming up. I'm going to do a couple bow giveaways through my Facebook and Instagram pages. So I will provide links for those in the description section. If you want to start following me on Facebook and Instagram, feel free to do so. I'm going to do a couple bow giveaways through them, so stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until then, take care and God bless.